Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Aries, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of November 2023. Hope you are well. I'm using the Crow Tarot for you today. Here it is. If the reading resonates with you and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That is link number 1 in the description box. The second link is to my private community, the Order of the Phoenix, which is located over on the Circle platform. You can get access to all of the extended content for no extra cost and hang out with an extraordinary group of people. So if that is something that sounds like it will be of interest to you, you know what to do with that link. Right, Aries, let's have a look and see what's going on with you. You can have 3 cards for Aries, please. There's the first one. Oh, divine. It is the Fool. Wonderful. In your recent past. What about current energy for, thank you, Aries? We have the 7 of Swords. And what's coming towards Aries, please? Oh, good Lord. Ace of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles. This is a leveling up, Aries. There's absolutely no doubt about it. It's really interesting. Actually, I did a reading for an Aries person on my emergence tier over on Circle this morning. And it's very, very much reiterating the same kind of energy. We've got the High Priestess at the bottom of the deck. Let's just move these over a little bit so you can see them properly. This is, dare I say, this is fucking glorious, actually, Aries. Let's get some clarifiers out and see what else you need to know about this situation. But I mean, this is true emergence from the darkness, actually, is how this feels to me. We spoke a lot, we've spoken at length, in fact, over this last 6 months about how you've been in a long, protracted tower moment. And it's beating the shit out of you. But the things that it's beaten out of you are the things that needed to go. And those aren't, necessarily situations, but whatever situations you found yourself in, that is the theatre in which the bigger lesson is being taught to you. And that often, when you've got the level of evolution and transformation that's happened to you over this last 6 months, that's usually delivered in a fairly relentless and can feel incredibly cruel sort of way. But these are the lessons that stick. And I think as you are coming out of the darkness, as you have been for the last couple of months, Aries, we're at a turning point now. So let's get some cards, some clarifiers out here. There's one's tumbled to the floor. We've got the Page of Pentacles. Very appropriate. Tell me about the Fool, please. And we have the 9 of Swords. Tell me about the 7 of Swords, please. The 3 of Wands. And we have the Death card. I'm not surprised to see that either. Tell me about the Ace of Pentacles and the 10 of Pentacles. We've got the 4 of Pentacles. We've got the Justice card. Hello. And one more. We've got the Queen of Pentacles in. It's kind of fell in the reverse, but I actually just want to put it the right way up here. And there's the Fool again at the bottom of the deck. Let's just shufty this High Priestess along so we can see everything. I could just move everything up full stop. That would be good. There. Right. This is the most positive reading I've probably done this month, and I think I could sum it up in one phrase, and that is feel the fear and do it anyway. Not usually an exhortation that is necessary to give to Aries, but I think, like I said, a lot of the things that have happened to you in the last 18 months, 2 years, have really kicked the stuffing out of you. And it's forced an evolution that has been deeply uncomfortable. But it isn't just that the light is at the end of the tunnel now. It's starting to, appear in the distance. It's not even like, as I think we spoke about in one of the readings in the last 2 or 3 months, that it's okay. Like, you can emerge from wherever you have been now. Like, it's safe to come out. It's safe for you to start exerting your will over the situation anymore. This is a reading of profound change, profound initiation, and a significant new direction for you. Now, it's not without, the wibbles, if we can put it that way. I mean, we've got the Nine of Swords here. But everything else on the table seems to be pointing you towards something really, really good. Now, the Nine of Swords, let's just sit with that for a second, because it's often a card of perspective. I think it possibly speaks to perspective more than any other card in the tarot. And more often than not, it's the idea that it is our perspective that is making everything hard. It is not necessarily the situation itself, right? The Eight of Swords often has this similar sort of energy to it. But this card in the Triple Goddess, this one particularly, speaks to things being every bit as bad as you thought they were. Not now, but what you have been through is every bit as trying and every bit as difficult. And it is completely understandable that you have been where you have been. But perspectives have changed dramatically. You have grown, you have evolved, you have leveled up and continue to do so. And now your attention is turning to really getting into alignment with your Aries energy, and that is first and foremost initiation, particularly where the Fool is concerned. We also have courage, we have leadership, we have a really profound sense of self, and I do feel like you found yourself in a way that was not really open to you before. I mean, we've spent a lot of time over the last 6 months talking about abandonment issues, which I think came as a surprise to all of us to discover that they were there, and I myself included in that. But nevertheless, they came to the surface, and one can only assume by the nature of the cards that are showing up here, you have worked on that, and that no longer is... It's no longer functioning quite the same way that it did. I'm not going to say that you're completely healed, Aries, because I'm not sure that that's true. I'm not sure if any of us actually are ever completely healed from such things, but there's such an awareness of it now that it does not rule how you behave in a way that it used to. Now, we've got the Page of Pentacles there, which is another card of initiation, but first and foremost, it also speaks to value, the intrinsic value that exists within something. And the Page of Pentacles for me usually is about the intrinsic value of self, how we start to perceive it differently. We've got this woman, she's got a little I'll just hold this up so you can see it. She's got a little magnifying glass in her hand. She is examining something. But the other thing that the Nine of Swords talks about here is management of whatever suit they represent. That's the nines generally. So the Nine of Swords would be how you manage your mind. And it's quite likely that you've discovered that there have been all sorts of traps and pitfalls that you've fallen into over the years, because you have perhaps given way to an anxiety, but it's a very particular kind of anxiety that almost functions as sort of low level, so low level that you've been doing things. And remember, fire signs are always about doing things. That's how we feel most powerful, is when we're in the act of doing something. But that it's been a cover for a kind of, I can't use the words mental instability, because that's not actually what I mean. What I mean is there's an instability of thought process, an instability of understanding perspective, maybe it's even at times logic and reason. Excuse me. And you're getting that in hand. It feels to me that there's clarity now where there was a fog. There is a sense of the road forwards, although it may not be entirely clear as yet. There's certainly a sense of the direction that it's taking. And it's going hand in hand with this enhanced value of self that you are now, which you've internalized, right? And it needed to be done, because I think at the heart, you've had concrete boots on for a long time. Like Aries is the warrior. It's probably a bit of a shock that you've managed to achieve the things that you have with all of the things that you've been battling on all of the fronts. But now you've chipped those concrete boots up, there is a lightness of spirit that is beginning to emerge. There's a newfound value that is starting to dictate your actions, rather than fear, rather than abandonment issues, rather than all of those things that we've talked about for the longest time. And I'm not going to say it's well overdue, because I think that everything happens when it's supposed to happen and not a fucking minute before. But I think in your case, there is an accompanying sigh of relief now that things seem to be getting back to some semblance of normality, as much as they can in the times that we find ourselves. It's almost like you feel like you're in your skin, grounded and solid, maybe capable of being a warrior, to your mind, at least, more than you have been for a very long time. Now, the thing is, Aries, some of us are sitting here watching it going, holy shit, we've seen what you've been through. You are warriors. You felt anything but. As the layers of the onion get stripped away from us, we all feel naked, exposed and vulnerable, a bit like something that's just shed its skin and it needs, 12 clear hours away from any predators or anything, so that it can slowly harden up again. And maybe that's what's happened here. You've shed the exoskeleton and there's a new one forming, but it's bigger. It's got space for you to breathe in the way that you could not before. Because you don't have to fight things on all fronts. You can if you have to, but it's not required of you anymore. And that's where the relief is coming in. Now, as we have the relief, tension starting to subside in the internal place, what is being replaced by is a desire for change, and we see that so very strongly here, Aries. Like, we've got the Seven of Swords there, which sometimes I talk about in terms of in terms of deception and deceit and whatnot, right? That meaning comes across quite often. It's known as the thief card and whatnot, but there is no card in the tarot that is all good and all bad, and this one is no exception. This one, conversely, talk to risk-taking behaviours, and hello, you're an Aries, this is what you're about. I feel in the now you are feeling empowered to do all sorts of things that you had thought possibly were off the table for one reason or another. Now, it could be that these are things that you've wanted to do for a while, and you're like, no, this is never going to happen, I'm just going to put it to one side. There's too much chaos, there's too many things crashing down, I can't possibly do this thing. It could be that this thing is popping back up in the here and now and saying, actually, do you know what, you can do it. It could be that what it was that you were wanting to do was just a little bit out of reach, and there was a certain amount of growth and transformation that needed to occur in you before you could get to that place. But it could be that there are a whole new heap of things that you have never considered before that suddenly are rising to the surface, and you say, actually, do you know what? I will do that. I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to do it. I mean, aside from the obvious fact that it was difficult for a little while there to know whether, getting off this absolutely fine line that you were sat on, a little bit afraid to tip the balance in either direction just in case it caused more chaos and more towers. It could be that the risk is simply that, I'm going to put my toe in the water and see what happens. But I think it's bigger than that. And this Three of Wands and the Death card here are creating this like trifecta of really amazing energy, which is emboldened to start doing something different, right? We've got the Three of Wands there, which is actually an Aries card, and it's about it's a low level card of manifestation for me, because if the if the Two of Wands is where we sit in contemplation and we walk through in our head, you know, the consequences of going that way versus that way versus that way versus back the way that we came. And then we settle on a direction of travel. We're like, that's the way that I want to go. That's what I'm going to do. And then we start moving in that direction. We are, you know, by definition, starting to manifest a new set of experiences for ourselves. And it's self-directed. That's the thing that's really amazing about this. The Magician card and the Lover's card, they talk about manifestation for sure in their respective ways. But these are big universal energies that are kind of happening at us and requiring some sort of response. This is self-initiation. Self, because Aries is the Fool. And initiation, because the Fool is initiation, right? We've got a whole new chapter of your life that started here, Aries. And I don't think it's one that is... Oh, so like you get the beginning of the end and the end of the end and the beginning of the beginning and the end of the beginning and all those kind of different spots. And really, it's only in retrospect that you can look back and see which one of those you were at. But I think it's really safe to say that from my vantage point looking at this, is that you're very much at the beginning of the beginning. There's still quite a bit to play out in this new beginning that you've got before it becomes just what you do, right? Where that initiatory energy is kind of ebbed away and this is now the new life that you have. It's standing very much, it's not standing on the brink because you've already made the jump, you've already done it, but it's perhaps the day-to-day consequences are still being ironed out. So the way that you choose to do things might be subtly evolving still, and you might catch yourself doing something that is a little bit more like old you, and you're like, oh, hang on, that's old me, I don't want to do things like that anymore, I'm going to change it. Because when these new skills are developed, it takes a little bit of time for it to bed in to become something that you just do reflexively. Excuse me. And I think you're still having to think about it. It's still having to be a conscious thing that you're giving consideration to, which means that the evolution is not yet complete, but that's okay because you are absolutely on the right path. What we've got coming towards you for November is the Ace of Pentacles and the Ten of Pentacles, and this is profound. For a lot of Aries, I know there was considerable bit of housing instability over this last year or so for you. I know I got deluged with Aries, plural of Aries is Aries, confirming that they were in some sort of unstable situation and that they needed to resolve it, and whether they were homeless or they were about to be made homeless or they were living in the car, but, you know, all sorts of things seem to be affecting a lot of Aries that way. Now, not every single Aries on the planet is going to be homeless or under threat of homelessness. The Ten of Pentacles can be much more of a symbolic representation of security and stability, and these two things have been missing from the Aries experience for a long time now. It's been very difficult to get your bearings, or even, you know, be able to jump into the void, you know, full of perfect faith and perfect trust when you don't even know what it is that you're standing on. And maybe you've been trying to, you know, pull together the energy to spring off something, only to find that that very act in of itself sort of sucks you down deeper into something that you're in. Well, yeah, try bouncing in quicksand, right? It's just fucking impossible. But what's coming in here in November is either the very security and stability that you've been looking for, or the opportunity to create that for yourself. And anything that's done by your hand for yourself is going to be much more meaningful for you, Aries, than anything that's ever given to you on a plate. You know, the Ten of Pentacles can also speak to family. This weather's fucking vile. It was really horrible. Sorry, it's pouring outside and I'm staring at it pouring outside. It can speak to family. Now, in it's upright like that, it's a supportive mechanism. It is your heritage, and it's also your legacy. It's about putting potentially effort into your family and receiving the effort of your family into you. It's kind of like a unification and bringing things together. I think for the most part, for most of you, it's stability, it's security, whether financial, material, or emotional, spiritual, psychological. The pentacles represent what you have to invest. That's the thing. So time, care, effort, money, love, energy, generally attention, all of these things encapsulated by the pentacle suit. It's just time to get about the business of creating. Coming together with family, supportive mechanisms of family, healing perhaps rifts that have occurred over the last couple of years or so. That seems to be really big here. So I'm talking about this in terms of this Four of Pentacles right here, right? So fours are foundational level cards, always. Think about the shape of, a four-sided shape, right? It's a square. It's something solid, and you can stack all sorts of things on top of that, and it will be secure. Now, this card talks about, sometimes, it talks about holding on to things too tightly. It talks about, excessive control over a situation, or a needing for things to stay exactly as they are because you are afraid that if they change, that there's something that you get from this situation right now that you will not get anymore. And there's, I'm going to throw it out there, Aries, there's a certain comfort and familiarity in things going badly if that's what you're used to, right? If you're used to functioning in an environment that is characterized by crisis, whatever that means to you, then that's your familiar place. That's what you're going to default to. It could have been dysfunctional family, right? That there could have been where your crisis lay. It could be the abandonment, of family, friends, all that sort of stuff. That can be where it is. There's something really exposing. There's something that makes you really vulnerable when you put yourself beyond your comfort zone, And if dysfunction, crisis, chaos have been your watchwords over the course of your life, then things running peacefully, that's really disturbing. That's a deeply uncomfortable space. What I really, really like about this Four of Pentacles, though, is that rather than clumping down on this energy, we have got somebody who is, at this point, she looks to me like she's offering it to someone. And the other Three Pentacles are by her side. Right? We've got energy that is moving in a way that it has never moved before. There are things that have value, and they're there, but they're not tightly gripped. In fact, she's seeing the benefit of passing them on to other people, right? There's no deficit here. There's no loss here. There is a new foundation that is being created of things that are valuable. In some ways you might say that the experiences of the last couple of years have really focused your mind to what is important, what it is that holds substance. And it's very easy to say that it's money and financial things and material things. But the truth is, if you're unhappy when you're poor, you're not going to be much happier when you're rich. You're just not thinking, you don't have to worry about the financial aspect of it. And I remember when I was super, super poor and using food banks and shit like that, and my every thought was, if I just had a bit of money, everything would just be better. Everything would just be great. And the truth is, it's not true, because wherever you go, there you are. Right? So whatever situation you're in that situation. And if you've got enough money to pay your bills, then you'll find something else to worry about, if that's the way that your mind is working. You'll be looking for a crisis. And if there isn't one in your material world, then there's going to be some aspect of you that is going to look to manufacture a crisis, because then you know where you are. You can locate yourself in time and space. I feel like all of that has completely changed for you, Aries. I think the need to fight it's not gone away, right? But it's not a need anymore, right? It's not born of this conditioned response from your life experiences. It's like, if I need to fight, I'm going to fight. But if I don't, am I going to fight? Because there's literally no point. It takes away my peace. It has me stuck in a state of fear, and I don't want that anymore. I want the give and the take. I want the energy to flow. Always going to be a warrior, but I'd rather be a warrior in a garden, you know? I don't think we have to worry about you being a gardener in a war and all that kind of thing. But, you know, the warrior in the garden seems to me to be the ultimate place that you want to end up. You know, garden-like stuff going on here. You've got the Justice card. Now, we are in an extremely karmic time right now. I'm not sure how long it's been happening for, but it's been happening for weeks already, and I do believe it's going to continue for weeks hereafter, certainly into November, where Pluto has been squaring the nodes. This is a point of tension that is causing all of us to grow, to change, to evolve in some sort of way. And because it's Pluto, become more powerful in the process. Now, the way that we do this is by getting rid of what is diluting our energy, or pull back to us, you know, that which we're giving our energy away to. Hang on, I'll have that back, thank you very much. Or where the power is being stymied by our own closed attachment, is what I wanted to say there. Closed down attachment to stuff. Whether we want to everything to stay the same, or whether we're, you know, mourning about, you know, a loss of something that we have held to be valuable to us. That state of being stuck, done with it. Now it's about letting the pentacle out. I don't want to say that this is a karmic lesson, because I really don't like the idea of lessons, because you get in lessons and then you get into tests, and then if you got a test you can probably fail it. You know, you can pass it or you can fail it. You don't get a participation trophy, right? There's something here that you have to do, and you either do it or you don't. But I don't like the idea of failing it. It's just simply a syllabus of things that your soul has signed up to learn in this lifetime. And the energy right now is very, very intense around the releasing of karma on all sorts of things, right? It's achieving a balance where we haven't had that balance before. And the biggest bit of the syllabus for you is learning how to look after yourself right now. Invest in yourself. You know, if you want to find a way of going from the Ace to the 10 of Pentacles in the most efficient way possible, you'd be having a conversation with the Queen of Pentacles. Well, first, you probably need to have a conversation with the Page of Pentacles. Where's the fucking value? Where's the thing that I can expand? The Queen of Pentacles knows exactly how to expand that, and that is through investment in self. Even if you are poor, if you are investing in yourself, if you have a solid and secure base of emotion, if you have good people around you, then you are, my dear, abundant. That's how it works. Like, everything outside of you in that respect is a bit of a distraction, albeit I understand that we do need to function in this 3D existence, and being able to pay your bills and eat food and have a house, you know, a roof over your head when the weather's like this is extremely important. But in terms of the higher lessons that are being taught to you, I mean, I feel like November is the start. It's getting to the middle of the new right? We are starting to feel the expressions of abundance around us. And maybe the material things are starting to flow a little bit easier than they have done. But it's all about the way that you're putting yourself out there. There's an ownership of your own energy. There's a decision-making process about where it is that you're choosing to put it. But I think that's what is really, really fascinating to me here is this High Priestess at the bottom of the deck, because that is your intuition. It's about being open, for sure. It's about listening to your internal knowing. It's about even being a conduit for, source or the universe or your higher self. It's your connection to your guides. It's all that kind of thing. But it's the little voice of knowing that speaks inside of you. It's not necessary for Aries to have a map. What you like to do is explore. Go and have a look around. Initiate something, start something. And a map would be kind of boring in that regard. But I think the way that you're making the decisions about what it is that you put your energy into has changed. And that's down to the last 2 years. Now it's about intuition. We're not being fired up. We're not fighting for the sake of fighting. Like, you've stilled yourself enough to be able to hear that little voice in your head that says, go that way, Aries. Invest a little bit in there. Take time to rest. Take time to look after yourself. Take time to make sure that the scales are balanced internally as well as externally. And abundance is yours. I mean, it really does feel like it's starting from here, Aries. And it's quite interesting because the rest of the zodiac seem to be feeling the effects of the intensity of energy at the moment, but feeling that in a rather negative way. They're being made to feel pretty uncomfortable so that they change and they evolve and they grow. But there's something about you getting on board with the intensity and being like, fuck yes, this is what I'm about. This is where we're going. You're all in planets Mars, right? So it's always going to be about the excitement in the adventure and the high blood pumping in your veins and all that kind of thing, right? It's the adrenaline stuff. And rather than feeling persecuted by it, or a little bit like you're at the end of your fucking tether and you can't do it anymore, it's like, oh good, now we're getting into something that I recognize. I can get into this slipstream and I can start making things happen. This is huge for you, and I do feel like you're weathering this cosmic weather a little better. Weathering this cosmic weather, I can't fucking repeating myself in sentences. You're weathering this astrology a little better than everybody else. But that really is because you've had the shit kicked out of you for the last year and a half. You've grown, you've evolved, you are continuing to do so. And November is an extraordinary month for you. Right? And that said, it takes time to get from an Ace to a Ten of Pentacles. That's investment, it's commitment, it's dedication, it's not taking shortcuts with things. But this is where it's starting. They actually, in all honesty, it started way back here. It's probably started back earlier than that. But I think that you're going to start to see glimpses of this in November, showing you the direction of travel, showing you whether more evolution is perhaps necessary, more transformation, more change. I think you are hungry for things to be different. And now you're feeling brave enough to put yourself out there, and that is what you are doing. To it, you had double full. It's bookending the reading there. It feels to me like you found yourself, Aries, and now you're about to get out there and do things, which I love. So I'm going to leave that here. I'm going to go over to the extended. You're very, very welcome to join me over there if you wish. You can do that on Vimeo, or you can do that on Circle. Either is, whatever is right for you is right for me. But if you have no desire to do that, no shade, entirely up to you. The takeaway from this reading is, though, you've got the biggest green light of green lights. Like, it's go time, Aries. What do you want to create? What do you want to build? What do you want to be a part of? Where do you want to put your energy? What do you want to invest in? Now is the time to do it. Listen to the little voice inside that's telling you which way to go. But there's no need for you to hang back anymore. Like, get out there and do it. Make good use of this intense energy, because I think you seem to be one of the best signs, or best placed signs to do that right now. And you can make some pretty big leaps forward in a very short amount of time, which is how we like to do things, right? Okay. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.